The experience with it was wonderful. It was great just to have our whole staff together. And it was a much needed reset that we needed coming off the year from the pandemic. To be able to talk about just the happiness advantage and being able to focus back on ourselves and talking about the habits and practices of bringing our best selves. That happiness, it comes from within. It doesn't come from necessarily that success. And it was just amazing to see our teams be able to come together, because we also led it with some of our teacher member teams as well too, because it was some of their first time presenting, so they were nervous, but it was just great seeing us come together as a whole, from not only just the teachers. We had our custodians, we had our paraprofessionals, we had everybody who makes our building run and be successful there just come together, laugh, have fun, and just have their hearts filled with joy. It was a little bit, it was outside of some comfort zones, because it's like that level of vulnerability, because it takes some of the Orange Frog takes you opening up about yourself. So it was a little bit of skepticism, but then when we started, because even when we started off the day a little bit, it was like, where are we going with this? But then it was interesting to see how those walls started to slowly calm down within like the first 30 minutes to an hour, because we kept them going. We were up, we were engaged, we were talking, they were interacting, they were doing activities that like were joyous, like send a text message to somebody. And so some of them got responses back because they were actually sending it to people in the room who they didn't normally interact with. But even their responses from outside, it just put that smile on their face to get back that just sense of like, oh, they acknowledged and they liked what I sent them. So it was skepticism, but the wall started to drop as we started doing the interaction and the activities with them.
So you did the train the trainer process. Can you describe that process and how it felt and what happened?
It felt good to me. For me, it was a much needed reset that I needed for myself too, coming off of the pandemic. Because the pandemic, it was hard in ways, because we were in our houses and then we were back in school and then we were back in our houses again. But I felt it was a great reset to remind us, like, you have to take those routines and habits that Sean talks about to become your better self. That it's not based upon, your success. Happiness doesn't come from your success. It comes from those routines and habits that you built in, and you have that happiness. But it was a wonderful experience. Like, the top, I would say, out of that, and even from the staff training, was when we had the opportunity to go joy bomb people in our community. Because I remember we went to get some donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, and one of the workers was out there picking up garbage and trash, and I'm like, oh, he's working hard. So I got out of the car because we had some extra swag, and I was going up to him, and originally he was looking at me like, who's this crazy lady? Because we had to dress in orange, and I had on an orange tutu. I had some dangles in my hair, and I had like my orange knee-high socks. So he was like, who's this lady coming up near me? And at first he was like backing off, but then he slowly started to see I was smiling, I was happy, and I'm like, hey, here, take a bead, take a swag. And we had the books. I'm like, read this book, it's about happiness. And then he was like, thank you, and somebody was filming it, and we saw afterwards he started smiling when I left. So I do believe happiness can be contagious. Yes, I've seen the impact where that intentionality is there, where other staff members are, we've called it, you've been sparked, are sparking other people's day. It's like that quote of the small things are the big things. It's those small things where they're sending notes of gratitudes. Those emails they're specifically, because we have some Orange Frog, not notepads, but like Post-it cards that we have in our staff, and we see that those are taken down often. and they're writing notes of appreciation to other staff members to brighten their day. And then we've even gotten our students involved. Like, you would think, well, elementary students, it's hard. Well, they take the time, like every Thursday, they write a note of gratitude to someone. And in few of my classrooms, they started doing gratitude journals as part of their social emotional time, where before they start their day, they think about, what's one thing that you are thankful for or grateful for today. And then some teachers do it as part of their community restorative circles as a question, where they go around to start getting the students in the mindset to start thinking about, that gratitude. What are you happy for the day? So we're starting to see it come in that way in our building. They do. They enjoy it. Because I see them in the hallways, because I'm always out. I'm visible. And they'll be like, I've even gotten some notes of gratitudes from them. So they'll see me in the hallways and they'll come up to me and they're like, Miss Henson, did you get my note? And I'm like, yes, I got your note. Thank you. It made my day. And usually what I do is I take the time and I write them back just to show them. I write them back to show and acknowledge I received it, because it's like that dog came home when we did that training. During that, it's like I want them to see that I received it. So I'll write them a little note back and I'll put a little sticker or pencil with it and tell them, thank you. I see you and I hear you. And we see it over our building, because in essence, with the Orange Frog, I always tell my students every day when we do our announcements, I tell them to be that Cheswick superhero, to be kind, be brave, be you, because you belong here, you matter, and you are enough. And so they start to hear it so many times that they see it, and they come up to me in the hallways and say, I heard you over the announcements today, and I'm going to have a great day today. And I'm like, yes, you are. It is going to be amazing, because I am glad that you are here today. I would say, don't hesitate. Do it. It might be fearful at the beginning, because you might wonder, if my staff is going to come on board with it. But I also agree, positivity and happiness is contagious, because it's like you're flipping that social script per se, where you're having the opportunity to be intentional to get people and even your students and community to think about those habits, those single small things that can bring that joy and positivity to your building, and just continue to be intentional with it and find those cheerleaders, because we have the cheerleaders in our building too, where it's not just coming from me, it's coming from the cheerleaders, because eventually it's now spreading, where there were people who I remembered from the beginning who are skeptical about it. They've become the biggest cheerleaders and champions in it, and they're helping spread that joy. Like we have a DAT committee that says doing amazing things. They bring ideas up like, can we do this? And I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it. But it's those small things, to be intentional, to get people joyous. It reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever seen that one video where the guy's on the hill dancing by himself, and then it slowly other people start to gravitate. That's what's going to happen. So don't be afraid to do it. Be maybe that stand-alone guy or woman, and then eventually you're going to get more coming on gradually. My response to that would be, and I'm thinking how I want to say this, but my response is, why not? Why not, if it's really going to be focusing on our well-being? Because it just reminds me of Maslow's hierarchy of needs that you have there. Before you can think about going to work or with kids situations, we have to think about us and are we happy? And that's why I say why not. It might be one more thing on our plate, but that happiness comes from within. So if we establish those routines and habits, whether it's I remember the 21 day, that it was either you were going to do the gratitude journal, or you were going to do a positive note to somebody. those little routines and happiness, it brings that joy about your day and it helps you become more productive. Like, I'll admit, there's times where, being a principal, it's hard. And there's times where my day or my week or my month has been hard. But having those habits and routines and teaching people how to do those habits and routines, it helps you get out of that funk. Like for me, I do the 21-day gratitude. Or I wouldn't say 21, I just do it every day. I take the opportunity to write something that I'm grateful for. And then I also take moments, maybe not in the morning, but during my job, I take that opportunity where if I'm struggling in that moment, I might take that time where I'm going to just go walk around the building or have that quiet time to myself to go find that small pocket of opportunity that's going to be something to bring me joy, to boost me up in the moment. And I think it's just teaching us our wellness, our wellness habits to bring our best self. And in order to do the work, we have to make sure we're taking care of ourselves to bring our best selves. My takeaway has been the small things are the big things. That has been my motto. That's the motto I use with my staff in the weekly updates. They see my hashtag all the time. The small things are the big things when I do my weekly updates with them to boost them up, because it really is simple things, because we think it's hard. It really is those simple things like gratitude, saying hello to somebody, because sometimes people want to be seen. And if you take that time to just say hello and then they say hello back, it just infuses that positive connection going back and forth. And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be big at all. And just one small thing can really change the outlook on a lot and make that happiness be contagious.